Hello everyone, Crash here, this is RTA Motorsports. So I just want to do this quick video on how I have SimTools set up and configured to move my PROSIMU T1000 2 degrees of freedom rig utilizing two SCN6 motors. This should also work if your rig has SCN5s. Here we go.
Welcome to RTA Motorsports.
Just a quick disclaimer everyone, I just want you to know that SimTools itself is not the only software you can use to power these simulators. SimTools is the one that I have chosen and many people have chosen as well. There's a huge community on X Simulator that we're going to go over in just a moment that you may want to check out, and there's a lot of questions answered in there. Also, SimTools is extremely powerful software. You must know that I'm only going to briefly brush over the settings that I'm using, but you could dive very deep into SimTools to make it do anything you want for, I believe it's up to 6 or 8 actuators. I don't even have anywhere near that amount of actuators, so definitely look into the software and the community for further answers if you want to do more with SimTools. But again, this is for a 2 actuator system that I have, and this is only a brief overview to help you get your rig moving. Here we go. So you can see this is SimTools website, and that is https://simtools.us. Before we do anything here, what you're going to want to do is join this community, xsimulator.net. Reason being, there's tons of DIY rigs that were created, tons of information here about SimTools. Also, I'll go into later on, you could earn coins through actually engaging in this forum, in this community. And there's, like I said, tons of information. Any problems that you may have regarding 2, 3, 4, 5 actuator systems have more than likely been answered here. A lot of build guides, a lot of tutorials. Definitely join here. It's free to join, and like I said, you could earn coins, and I'll go into why in a little bit. Then you're going to want to go here, simtools.us. I believe the creator of this software, his screen name is YoBuddy. I'm almost certain that's who is the creator of this software. Now, this is SimTools 2.0. I believe they're on actually update 2.1. You can see on the About section, read a little bit about the software, why they created it, how they're different than the other programs that are out there. Really appealed to me just how large the community is that is backing up this software. It's quite large, and there's tons of information out there. A lot of big time multi actuator systems are built and use this software, so you really can't go wrong with this particular one. So what you're going to want to do is get a license. Now, this is something new. SimTools, for the most part, has been just a free software for DIY. But now there's a lot of simulators on the market that are kits, much like our PROSIMU T1000. Not necessarily a kit per se, where you kind of got to, piece it together and make something out of it. I mean, this is a complete simulator, but the software is up to your discretion as to what to use. So that's kind of why it falls into the kit category. The DIY license, if you don't want to really participate in the forum too much, I believe there's a way in here, at least there used to be, but I believe there still is a way that if you're making this rig as a DIY and you're just using 2 actuators and you're watching this video, I believe there's a way to apply for a free license. Definitely want to look into that further if you fall into that category. Or you could purchase for $49.99, and you can see that you get a few things. You get these 3 things here: the game engine, game manager, works with all the game plugins. The professional license, you get quite a bit more. So if you're looking for the game vibe, which is similar in concept to simvibe, I don't know how similar it is. I haven't had to use it yet, but if you're looking for an all-in-one program, this this is really intense. And really, all I have really used is that, to be honest with you, so far. So, and then you can see the entertainment license, which does not apply to me, so I can't answer any of your questions there. They do have a contact us link. Definitely go in there if that pertains to you. So what you're going to want to do is, if you're a PROSIMU customer like I am, or if you do have another rig or another kit that is not a DIY, go this route here. So you're going to want to click select, and then you could read a quick little description as to the license you're purchasing, what it pertains to, and you can buy now. Now it's a one-time purchase. It's not a subscription, which is really nice. And you can go here to download links, and it'll bring you right back to X Simulator, which you should have already joined. Highly recommend it. So if you click on this here, this is download SimTools. Should bring you to a splash page. Yep, right here. You could either go to download SimTools. It'll bring you to another area of this forum. They'll explain how to do so. Get a license will actually bring you to another section. I believe it'll bring you right back to simtools.us, get a license section, or get game plugins. Now, this is what I meant before when I said tokens, or coins, I should say. As you increase your activity on the forum by replying, answering questions and whatnot, you earn coins. These coins could get you basically one of these packages here. Now, these packages apparently are not difficult to get if you're pretty active on the forums. And what they enable you to do is to be able to download the plugins, or you could just purchase them using cash. So if you purchase them, you can see the prices right here for how long. This is a one-time purchase. This is per year. This is for every 2 years. You can see plugin downloads all unlimited within that amount of time, so on and so forth. Or you could get, like I said, past that by being active on the forums. Just going to take a little bit longer. Once you get the plugins, what the plugins are, the plugins enable you to take SimTools and tie it to one of these titles, one of these games or simulators. And that's how it takes the telemetry data from there and sends it to your rig. And you can see there's quite a few big ones here. Everything from iRacing to Elite Dangerous here at the bottom, so on and so forth. But they have over 80 plugins available, and it's growing. It's growing quite rapidly. Every time I log in, there's quite a few more plugins available. So what you're going to want to do from this point, you have already purchased and downloaded the X Simulator software, and you have already became a member. You have access to the game plugins. Because once you do this and you purchase, just go in the forums and search game plugins, and it'll bring you to a splash page for SimTools, and it'll show you all the games, much like here. It's very easy to find. Or if you go to the download sections, once you're logged in, it'll ask you SimTools 2.0 or 1.3, I think was the old one. I think they actually got rid of that page by now because they have moved over to SimTools 2.0. And you can just download whatever plugins you want. It's very easy to get to in the forum once you join. So, we now have, let me open up Game Manager and Game Engine installed with SimTools. There's actually a few other programs that installed in the background, but we'll go over that in just a moment. So this is what it looks like. SimTools, Game Engine, and Game Manager. These are your main programs you're going to have up and running every time you go into a sim or a game or anything like that. These two are all you need to start. But to get these here, these plugins to actually show up here, you're going to need to backtrack a step. But before we even get into any of that, let's get SimTools working with our rig. So what you're going to want to do is you want to go to interface settings. pay attention here because this is very, very important. We're using SCNs. SCNs are the actuators that come with the PROSIMU. Our specific type is the SCN6. If you have an SCN5 for your DIY rig, this should help you out as well. So you're going to want to go to interface type SCN. The reason why we have interface 1 and 2 is because we have 1 and 2 actuators. You can see these are all blank. Don't worry about those. If you had a third actuator, this is where you would be here, like for traction loss. That's where that actuator would be right there. But we only have 2 for this specific scenario. So you're going to want to change this to SCN. Your COM port 2, the reason why that is 2, now when you click on it, you're not going to be able to see that, unfortunately, with the way I have it now. Let me move this to the side. I'll move this a little bit here. We'll kind of edit things a little bit back and forth. So that way you can kind of see what's really going on in the background. When you click on COM port, you're going to see a whole bunch of COM ports pop up. And these are basically all the USB COM devices that I have installed and running at the current time. So how do you figure out which one is which? Because you have 2 USB ports that you plugged in. So like I said, interface 1 and interface 2 are for each SCN that we have plugged in, right? How do we figure that out? Well, you go down to Device Manager on your computer. Device Manager kind of looks like this here. The easiest way to get there is to click on your, either right click on My Computer if you have that on your background, or if you have Windows 10, go here, type in Device Manager, and it should pop up there, Control Panel, and we have just popped up another one on my other desktop, but this is essentially what will come up. So you're going to go from here, you go down to ports, and you can see we have our COM ports right here. So in the old version, because I was going to build the DIY rig first, the old version of SimTools, you could only have, I think it's up to COM port 10 that would work. So I'm not exactly sure if that's still the same case with SimTools 2.0. There was tons of updates, but this wasn't an issue for me. So when you plug in each USB port, you're going to see the USB serial port, and you're going to see what COM number comes up. So you can unplug and replug it back in. You'll see these disappear and reappear, and that's how you know what COM port is for which USB. Very easy, but make sure you go to Device Manager to see what one's tied to which. So we're here, and we know that one is COM 2, and one randomly came up at COM 9. Kind of a little strange how that worked out, but it worked out that way. So the output rate is pretty much going to be 10 milliseconds. This is kind of was recommended to me over the forums by quite a few other PROSIMU as well as SCN6 users. When I click on this, there's going to be tons of other settings that are going to come up. Let's move this to the side a little bit so that way you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, this goes all the way up to, I think, 50. Yep. Just leave it on 10 milliseconds. The assigned axis, this here you're going to have 1A and 2A for the most part if you only have two interfaces here. So you can see for interface 1 we have 1A, interface 2 is 2A. And that's going to matter when we go to axis assignment right here. Because you're going to have B, and that we don't even worry about as far as, like, I think it's 1B and 2B. Yeah, so we're not even going to get to that level of it as far as just having our 2 actuators. For speed, I found a good combination was 10,000 for acceleration, 500. You're going to want to go to save, because every single setting that you do in here, if you don't save it, the moment you click another tab, it's going to erase the settings from beforehand, and that could be Very, very frustrating. So next you're going to want to go to output testing once you have that all set up. And when you click turn on, it's going to give you a little countdown. And from here, you could actually move your rig. Move this slowly because you're going to notice that your rig is moving as you're moving it. You could probably hear my rig moving in the background. It's a little jarring. And when you turn it off, your rig will level back out again. But at least you can make sure that each of these settings are moving in the right direction. And depending on where your actuators are located, as you move it, you're going to notice that your rig is going to move in different directions. Axis 1 and Axis 2 directly correlate to interface 1 and interface 2. Okay? As long as you have interface 1 is axis 1A and interface 2 is axis 2A, it's going to just be axis 1, axis 2, just as this is interface 1, interface 2. It's just another name for saying one of your SCNs, another one of your SCNs, and then you're going to assign it to one of these lines right here. Hopefully that makes sense. As you can see down here, in the bottom right hand corner, it's kind of late. So hopefully I'm making some sense here. And these are my settings. I really have no rhyme or reason as to these settings here. Besides that, these are actually what I was recommended by quite a few people that have PROSIMUs. And I made some adjustments myself, but just take this with a grain of salt. This is kind of what I use. Definitely use it how you will and try it out. So we have sway on axis 1, axis 2, both at 60%. These these orange dots here correspond to the direction. So when you click that, it's going to make sure that this one moves at an opposite direction of this one. Or else when you sway, they both will do the same action. And with sway, you want them to be opposite actions. With surge, you can see because surge is a kind of a back and forward motion, they're going to be moving in the same direction. Pitch, I believe, is an opposite force. So you're going to want to make sure those are opposite directions. Roll, again, the roll of the vehicle itself is going to be in opposite directions from one actuator to another if you have them in the orientation that I do. So, you know, if you deselect that, rolling is going to, it's not going to roll. It's almost going to be like a pitch or something like that, because as you turn left or right, both actuators are going to be doing the same exact thing, and that defeats the purpose. And heave is not a rolling or a sway characteristic. So you're going to notice that you're going to have them both selected there. But this is, with my actuators at the front of my rig, these are my settings. So you could copy those right there and then definitely adjust how you see fit. For axis limiting, now this is huge and this is very important. If you're using SCNs 5 or 6, you're going to want to set your axis or your SCNs, see axis 1A, axis 2A, we only have 2 SCNs, at 90%. It's going to increase the longevity of your SCNs and prevent premature damage because you're not slamming your actuators at full length all the time. That's basically limiting the amount of throw of your SCNs. And it's common knowledge on the forums, leave it at 90%. Trust me, there's so much movement in these actuators. 90% is plenty. So just leave that 90%. And again, everything that you do, save your settings before you continue. You can see we have nothing here in axis assignments under B. All right, so you can see that we have Assetto Corsa running right now. And once you actually get Assetto Corsa running, once you turn it on, the Assetto Corsa is kind of like a really good example of this, and you have the main menu, you're going to notice that this is not going to say game running. This is just going to have that green bar that we had before. Once you actually enter a race or you enter the vehicle, that's when you're going to notice that the game running will turn blue. When you first install this, you may not see anything happen. You're probably like, what's going on? What you're going to want to do is click here, patch. It's going to ask you, do you want to patch this title? You hit yes, and then it should say game running immediately. So you could actually, from here, go to Profile Editor once you have it patched. And you can see I have my main level at 77%. A lot of people set it down to 70. Some people set it to 75. All depends on personal preference, but you're going to want to turn it down because 100%, you give it a shot. It's quite violent on the PROSIMU. Probably more accurate towards the real thing, but it is pretty violent. So that's why I have it set down to 75%. And you could, of course, in here, edit everything independently. You can see I set pitch up just a little bit more. And you could actually create different profiles for each car in this title. And then from here, you could exit this out. And you could just select whatever car or whatever profile you want. And just further kind of tweak each title individually. You can see here you have your extra settings and whatnot. You can pop out a dash or your Vibe settings for like SimVibe type of deal, but it's not SimVibe. It's SimTools' own butt shaker software, but I have not used that yet, so I cannot tell you how that works. So hopefully this all gets you up and running and kind of explains the very basics on how to use it. But I urge you to check out X Simulators community because there's a lot of questions that can be answered there even further, way beyond my knowledge base. And especially if you have a specific issue with your operating system, definitely look there because I'm sure it's been answered before. But of course, ask me any questions that you may have had. I probably came across it on the forums through my searching. I'll be glad to try to help you out as much as possible. So I'm Crash, this was RTA Motorsports. So definitely stay tuned. We have a lot of product reviews coming soon, a lot of exciting things on the horizon. Don't want to go into depth yet, but we definitely have some good conversations happening within the simulator community with a lot of good companies. And hopefully we're going to have some pretty exciting comparisons and product reviews coming soon. I have the review for this PROSIMU T1000 coming soon. I'm trying to get some more seat time, even adjust some tools even further. And I definitely want to make sure that I know the ins and outs of this rig as I get more people on the rig and get more use out of the rig. I just don't feel that it's right for something of this size. I should just have it for a week or a month and then all of a sudden have a review like as if I know it in and out. That's why the review is taking a while. I want to make sure I know this thing before I review it, and hopefully you understand. So again, I'm Crash, this is RTA Motorsports. There's tons of other product reviews on the forums. Check that out. And as usual, see you all next time. Hope you had fun.